ほら、ルフィ、今一緒に海賊になる仲間を探してるんだ。
Hello guys, welcome to my channel The Wandering Zoro, your go-to destination for anime-related content. And if you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out on our latest videos. In today's video, we're going to be diving into part 10 of the series. So be sure to stick around until the end. And let's get started. 2 days have passed since Saturday, entering Monday for another week for the student to continue back to their normal school life. But for Kendo, it's anything but normal after what happened to her parent. She still couldn't wrap up the fact that her parent had set the house on fire by accident. According to the firefighter report, the cause of the fire is coming from the faulty electrical wiring in the kitchen area, saying that the fire had spread quickly before both her parent could escape, and they got trapped by the fire before the firefighter could come. Vlad King, who's her homeroom teacher, offered her condolences and gave her a day off for her to wrap her head around the accident. Her class had offered their condolence too, but Kendo is still in a grieving process. Izumi and the rest of her group had texted her, asking whether she was okay and in need of a talk, but she didn't respond or reply to their text. They had a small ceremony for their funeral. Many of her relatives from out of town came to pay their condolence. Her friends from UA and Class B also came, accompanied by Vlad King. Schofield Sensei also came with the principal, but the white mammal couldn't stay for long before he had to return to UA. Izumi, along with Momo, Hatsum, and Uria, came together as well, giving her a hug and a shoulder to cry on. Even people that she didn't expect, such as Mikumo, also came and paid their respect. Right now, she is walking aimlessly on the Shibuya street, not wanting to stay cooped up in her dorm room. All she could think about when cooped up in a room was nothing but the promise she made with her parent, thinking all the regret for not being there 5 minutes sooner. Maybe she could have dragged her parent out or alerted them before the accident happened. She tried to think about all the stuff she could have done had she been there, but it only deepened the regret she's having. At this time, I really wish that you were here, Izuku. Kendo thought for a moment, remembering her late green-haired friend. Had he been here now, he would have known what to say to her to cheer her up or say that it wasn't her fault. She waited for the crossing sign to light up, and she was walking on the Shibuya crossing, trying to clear her mind before she widened her eyes and spotted someone also crossing at the intersection. But it was someone she was familiar with. It was a boy roughly around 5 feet 5 inches wearing a black beanie during the spring season. He also wore a gray jacket on top of a collar black shirt, black pants, and shoes. His hair slipped under the beanie, but it was green, messy style with a noticeable, huge burn scar on the side of his face. Kendo's eyes widened, and she couldn't believe what she was seeing just around 8 feet away from her. It's like her eyes are playing a trick on her right now, but she couldn't believe it. Izuku. Looking at him, he started to disappear from the crowd passing by. Kendo began to call out his name to get his attention. Why wait a minute? Kendo hurriedly tried to call out to him, but he didn't hear her calling and continued walking down the street and walking amidst the crowd. Izuku! Izuku! She continued to call his name out loud in the crowd, but he didn't turn around. She chased after him while calling out to him, but he turned down an alley without responding. Izuku! She followed him to the alley, trying to catch up to him. There's no doubt about it. That's Izuku. Kendo thought in her head, but he was supposed to be dead, right? No, I've got to make sure. I've got to see him to be sure. She continued to make her way to the alley before she found the end of it, and all she found was nothing but a crowd of people passing, but no sign of him or someone dressed up like him. Kendo glances left and right to make sure that she didn't miss anything, but she didn't find anyone who looked like him. I lost him. Was it really him? No, that can't be. He's dead, so there's no way he could be alive. The stress. That must be it. I'm hallucinating. On the other side of the Shibuya district, Setsuna, along with Hananuki, Tetsu, and Aways, are now patrolling around the area, just the 4 of them as a part of their assignment for Vlad Sensei and Schofield Sensei. Now that they have earned their hero license, they must have a grasp of the power and the ability that a single license possesses. For their assignment, Their job is to form a patrol of 3-4 people over a specific location that Schofield-sensei had tasked and assigned to them, respectively. This allows them to gain a first-hand experience of patrolling the area by themselves and familiarize themselves with the territory they currently patrol. Man, it's all quiet here. There's no villain attack or anything here. Tetsu glances at the area where it's peaceful while looking for some action, especially since they are in a big city. It can't be helped. Schofield-sensei picked the area with the least crime that's going on in this neighborhood. Our job is just to grab the experience of patrolling without any supervision. Hananuki explained. But still, it's kind of nice, to go all by ourselves, Setsuna replied, stretching her hand above her head. Yeah, too bad that Prez couldn't join in with us for today. Away sighed in disappointment over the absence of their class president. You've talked to her yet? Hananuki asked Setsuna, her fellow girl. No, she's pretty much just shut in after what happened. I still can't believe it. Her parents to get caught in an accident like that. Setsuna grimaced. But I never thought that it could happen to her, seriously. Hananuki sighed. While they were talking, they spotted from the opposite side of the road, separate from the crossing line, and a zebra crossing, a figure of Kendo walking down the street all by herself. And she seemed distracted herself, so they called her name from the opposite direction, and she didn't turn. Prez, Setsuna called, but she didn't respond. The other also called out her name, but she didn't listen and just continued walking before she disappeared. Man, she didn't hear us. Maybe she's thinking about something else. Tetsu concluded, let's just give her some time and be there for her. That's all we could do right now. While Setsuna and the others were patrolling at Shibuya area, Izumi's group was taking a different route towards Hosu. Seeing that after the hero killer incident took place, the city is in dire need of heroes patrolling the area more than ever, which is why Izumi's group has been tasked to patrol around the area. Her group consists of herself, Reiko, and Shishida, just the 3 of them. Upon patrolling, both Reiko and Shishida could tell that Izumi is not in her usual mood, filled with seriousness but mixed with excitement, especially being given this kind of assignment. But this Izumi is the complete opposite of her usual self. Her mood has been quite bad today, like she's just gotten out of an argument or something. Her facial expression gave the aura not to talk to her for today, which is troubling since they had no idea why she was so upset. Flashback start. I want you to look me in the eye and tell me the truth. Did you have anything to do with Kendo's parent? Izumi is standing in front of her house right now, coming all enraged after banging the door several times to get open, and met with the sight of her father in the doorway. Izumi, cut the chase. Tell me the truth. Izumi shuts his excuse, not in the mood already. What parent? What happened to young Kendo's parent? You want to play at that game, fine. Izumi cuts to the chase straight away. Kendo's parents just got into a home accident and got burned inside their house. Neither of them made it, leaving Kendo the only survivor, which is funny since she's not in the house in the first place. Oh my god, is she all right? Tashinori asked out of concern. Do you care? Izumi angrily scoffs, finding it funny how he can act like he cares. Don't you make me out to be the villain in this, Izumi. He argued, proving that he had nothing to do with what happened. How could you suspect me of doing something like that? I just found out about it right now. You're parsing your words. You had someone to do it for you, right? Admit it. Izumi accused him, still insisting that he had something to do with it. Izumi, I didn't know about it. It's the truth. Nonsense. She cursed straight in her father's face. I know that you had something to do with it, but I just can't believe that you're doing this out of spite. Izumi, I swear to God, I had nothing to do with this incident. Tashinori swore. Now, why don't you go inside? I'll tell Aizawa that you'll be staying here for tonight. Then we can go to Kendo to offer our condolences tomorrow. Get away from me. She yanked her father's hand out of her, feeling all disgusted at his attempt to show that he cared. Izumi, just calm down. You're in shock. Just stay away from me. Stay away. Izumi made a run out of her home and didn't look back, as she couldn't stay any longer for 1 second, because she could tell just by looking him in the eye when she first asked that question. He was lying. Flashback end. And ever since that day, she hasn't tried to contact her father. No matter how many messages and calls he made that night, she didn't answer them. She met with him during Kendo's parents' funeral for a moment. Then she just turned around and did not make eye contact with him. But what angers her the most is that he had the nerve to come to her parents' funeral and show some sympathy, knowing that he's the one who ordered the killing of her parent. She hasn't broken her theory over to Kendo or even anyone, seeing that Kendo, of all people, is still grieving, but she would give her time before she tells her. And they have to hurry with the investigation that Izuku had left behind for them. Izumi had only read it for a glimpse, but it revolves around his biological father, who he believes wasn't the car accident that killed him, but something else. She didn't finish reading it since she figured that it's best that they were together to solve this matter, since they found it together in the first place. Izumi, are you okay? Reiko called out, deciding that out of those two, she would be the one to ask if she's all good. Yeah, I'm fine. Really? Seems to me that you've got a look on your face, saying anything but fine. Reiko asked, accusing her of lying. Really, it's all good. Izumi excused herself and made a turn when she got bumped along the way by someone, which made her fall. Ouch! Watch where you're going. Sorry. She looked up, recognizing the voice, and it happened to be Uria. Uria, what are you doing here? Izumi asked, wondering why he was here all the way from UA. He also fell on the road, and his bags fell and were scattered. I'm running an errand for Power Loader Sensei. I just got back from Shibuya, and now I'm heading to a local vendor to purchase some items. He hurriedly picked up the tools back in his bag, as Reiko and Shishida helped as well. That's a lot of tools you've got there. Shishida looked at his dropped bag, spotting a couple of detonating cords and electrical wires with metal sheets. Why, yeah, it's for my personal project too. Uria replied in a weak tone. I'm planning on making a project for my own. You're making a bomb? Reiko blatantly asked, noticing the timers on the bag. No, of course not. Please don't joke around like that. He laughed nervously. Huh. Good for you then. Want us to accompany you? Shishida offered. No thanks, I'm kinda in a hurry. Oh, no need to worry. We've got quite a spare time. Besides, it seems that you carry too many items there. Shishida offered and picked up one of the bags while Reiko used her quirk to levitate the bags for them to carry. Please, it's the least we could do to help you. Izumi insisted before Uria could nod and accepted it. Okay then, thanks, he replied, taking up their offer and making their way. Principal Nizu has just gotten off the phone with Itsuka Kendo's uncle, discussing their agreement to let his niece stay in UA as he lives quite far away in Okinawa. This was a complicated matter, and he needed to talk to several people before he could address the problems of his students. Now, finally, he could address the matter. At long last, he pressed his intercom, sent her in. The door suddenly opened, and an elderly man in his 60s entered wearing a suit. He has gray hair, along with his beard matching the color of his hair, showing how old he is already, but still fit for someone of his age. It's Mr. Sagaya. Principal Nizu. Sorry to come here unannounced. I assumed you've been busy. Mr. Sagaya entered while taking a seat in front of him. Yes, but I assumed that I'll be having a meeting with Madam President. Principal Nizu asked, not expecting to see an elderly person enter his office. I'm an associate of Madam President. She's having a private meeting, and she's quite a busy person, so I stepped in. He went on to explain before shifting to the topic at hand. Word has gotten back to our office that you've been pulling records on Izuku Midoriya and several of your student school records. Why is that, Principal Nizu? Is it wrong for me to check them? I'm the principal of my own institute. It's my job to protect my students and conduct a detailed background check of their past, especially if they're planning to become heroes in the future. Is there any particular information I should know about? Maybe you can debrief me on the situation, he asked, wanting to know what he found. But Principal Nizu didn't just share his findings with him. He didn't know why, but his primal instinct was telling him that something was odd about this man. What's your division? You want to give me details of what you were doing now? I'm an associate. Mr. Sagaya simply responds, Madam President just feels that I was best to handle such matters. Right? Well, I just wanted to clear some matters with your superior. Asking a few questions just helps clear things up, and I thought I could get her to come, but it seems that she was busy today and sent you instead. So if Madam President has a problem with how I run my school, she can call me. Principal Nizu just finished saying his words, but Mr. Sagaya didn't respond to him at all. He just sits in silence while he stares at him, not moving or showing any expression whatsoever. Is there something else you want to say? The principal asked. Finally, after a while, Mr. Sagaya replied, I think we got off on the wrong foot. I'm just here to give you a little friendly advice. From Madam President and the organization where I work. What's that? Principal Nizu asked as his guests started to get up and leave. He leaned closer to the desk, moving his head forward before shifting his face, hardened and turning all serious and menacing, enough to send a shiver down his fur. Just stay in your lane and keep your head down. That's all. He slowly nods and leaves the room after sending his message to the principal on behalf of Madam President. At the Shibuya Bank, Kendo is standing while waiting in line to withdraw her money from her bank account. She figured that she would try to distract herself with a shopping spree since she saw from the window that they were having a sale, but realized that she didn't have any money in her wallet. She was standing in line at the counter trying to withdraw the money, but the line was pretty full today, and there were a lot of customers inside. Sir, please don't transfer your money to an unknown number. There's a chance that it might be a hacker trying to swindle your bank account. One of the tellers warned the customer, warning them of a chance of being tricked by a hacker. Hacker, huh? Come to think of it, he's also good with a computer and able to hack his way around gadgets and stuff. She then began to recall the time when she saw Izuku working around the computer sometimes. How she came to watch him, made the wrist computer for Yaoyorozu, and programmed the whole network. He was considered to be pretty good with computers and programming and sorts of stuff. She didn't know why, but she started to recall her memory of him after seeing someone who looked like him. No, I must have been tired right now. Yeah, he's dead, she thought, trying to clear her head, but to see someone who looks just like him. The resemblance is uncanny. It's like a bullet pierced right through my heart. That kind of feeling from back then. Bang! A shooting sound could be heard from around 3 rows behind her. Kendo jolted and slowly turned to see 5 robbers wearing ski masks, all pointing towards the bank customer and tellers. Everyone on the ground. Lock the door and close the shutter door. The robbers pointed their guns forward at the civilians as they were all down on the ground. Not just the civilians, but the guards from the bank were all on the ground, not daring to go up against the robbers right now. Please, please, I have children. One of the tellers, who seemed like a father, came to the robber and begged them while crying. Shut up, get on the ground, and don't you do anything foolish. One of the robbers warned him, pointing his gun up to his face. The robbers began ordering them to move into separate positions. One were the civilians and customers who came to the bank on one side, while the teller and the staff on the other side, separating them. Kendo, who's on the bank, tried to stay low and didn't attract attention. She might have just gotten her license, but that doesn't mean that she could take on an entire robber gang all by herself. So she plays along just for now. One of the robbers then grabbed a money bag from behind the counter and handed it to the tellers. Phones now. Fill these bags with your phones and do it quickly. The tellers then began to fish out their pockets and place their phones in the bag. Kendo eyed the robbers and knew that they all came with only 6 of them, and all of them were armed. In times like this, there's a possibility that there's a hidden robber hiding among the victims, but for her to identify them would be impossible. Hey you, the orange girl. Phones now. Okay, I'll grab it. Kendo grabs her pocket and puts her phone in it before she hands the bag to the person next to him. But when she handed the bag, her mouth and face were all shocked, seeing who was the person right next to her. Izuku. Sitting right next to her is the same boy that she spotted on the street just a few moments ago, the boy that she recognized. Speaking of the crowd, there was a huge group of people in front of the building. No, it was not an event or a parade. It was nothing but a bank robbery. The robbers decided to steal from the biggest branch of the provincial bank of Mizudafu after getting the silent alarm that was pressed by the branch manager inside the bank. Detective Naomasa Tsukachi is standing in front of the bank, with the whole area being barricaded by the police cars, waiting for the robbers to give their demand. Whom should we call detective? An officer asks as the detective sees how the police struggled to push back the civilians to a safe distance, while some were deploying the tents in front of the bank and setting up the systems to infiltrate. Who is nearby? The detective asks, to which the officer says judging by the patrol schedule, backdraft, and the flyer nearby. Death Arms is around, but it will take at least 30 minutes for him to get here. Tsukachi clicked his tongue in annoyance and said, "None of them are good for infiltration and hostage situations. We at least need Edge Shot for scouting and Kamui Woods for restraining. Or better, we need Hawks for quick subdue. Have you found what the robbers wanted?" Tsukachi asked, hoping that the robbers had made contact with the bank manager or the owner of the building. "No, sir, they haven't made a single demand just yet," the officer replied. "I see," Tsukachi claimed. "Sir, 4 UA students who are on the patrol are here. Said they could help us," said one of the officers who came with the news, reporting to Tsukachi, who is the lead of the case. "All right, bring them up," Tsukachi ordered, and the officer brought the student who happened to be Setsuna, Hananuki, Aways, and Tetsu to Detective Tsukachi. They came to the tent, as Tsukachi quickly brought them right away. "I heard that you kids could help." "Yes, my quirk, Lizard Tail, could help with looking at the place from inside. I could detach my eyes and mouth to relay info to the guards." "Could you help relay a message to the guards?" "We could plan to launch a counterattack from the inside." "Sir, we got footage from the CCTV of the bank." One of the tech officers informed them as they looked at the footage and saw the image from inside the bank. Setsuna, who looked at the footage, could spot all the guards and the civilians on the ground. But when her eyes met with the hostage situation, she spotted someone familiar inside the bank. Kendo? Back in the bank, Kendo still couldn't believe what she was seeing. It was him. It was Izuku sitting right next to him in a hostage situation. But she thought that he was dead, and yet here he was sitting right next to her. So how is that possible? "Izuku, is that you?" Kendo shakes him, asking repeatedly, "You're Izuku, right? Please tell me you're Izuku." But no matter how hard she called out or shook him, Izuku didn't move a single muscle at her calling his name. He didn't reply to her question or even move his mouth. It's like he's gone all mute. "Do you remember me?" "It's me, Kendo." She talked to him, trying to get him to remember. "Can't you say something? Anything?" But no matter how hard she tried, Izuku just wasn't talking to her. It's not like he was ignoring him, but he didn't know what or how to reply. She then noticed the burn scars on the right side of his face, all the way from the top of his head down to his chin. Burn scars. Could it be that he somehow escaped from the accident, and the shock robbed him of his speech and memory? "Hey, what's with all the noise?" "And you, give me your phone right now," the robber yelled, ordering Izuku to give his phone. "No, he doesn't have his phone. He can't speak, so there's no point in his having one," Kendo answered, giving him an excuse in his stead. I get it. Then you give me your phone now." The robbers moved to the other person next to Izuku, who continued collecting their phone. "I have to take him back to UA, go to Recovery Girl, and help him get his memory back. Thank God he's alive." "And where's the bank manager?" "Stand up if you're one," the robber asked, pointing his gun around the gathered hostages. "Ah, that's me." One of the hostages, who was in his 40s, stood up, wearing a nice suit with a name tag of branch manager. "Good. Then fill this bag with money from the safe. You should be able to open it up." He tossed the money bag he had to the branch manager to pick up and place the money inside. "But the key? The head manager has the other key to open the safe. It needs 2 keys to open one up, and he's gone now." The branch manager spoke up in a fearful tone, knowing this would spell trouble for them. "What? Where's the manager then?" The robbers, who were the leaders of the group, stepped up and dragged the branch manager for some answers. "He's on a lunch break. He left about 10 minutes after you guys robbed the place." "Damn it, F. One of the robbers smacked the table counter with the back of the gun in anger, knowing that their whole plan had just been busted. "Would you just calm down? We can't open the safe, damn it. All because some guy took a lunch and wasn't here when we came to rob the place. Calm down, goddammit. I suspected as much, and that's why we have a plan B." The leader grabs a duffel bag and opens the zip, showing a series of bombs placed in it. It looked like the bomb was handmade and not one that you saw on TV. "Is that bombs?" He recognized it from the timer and the strings of cords attached to the brick-shaped clay. "Yeah, I bought it online just in case the plan is botched. I got it from some dark web and picked it up at Shibuya before we came this morning," he bragged, while playfully throwing the explosion in his hand before handing it to them. "All right, Put this on each of the vault door mechanisms. The leader handed 2 different duffel bags filled with bombs and a timer to the robbers. And put this on the door, just in case those heroes try to break the place. Then all they get is nothing but an explosion in their face. All right, you 3, stand up and grab this. The robber handed the 3 hostages a bunch of tapes before giving the order, tape everyone's eyes and mouth of everyone here. Separate the men and women. Once you're done, we'll tie you up too. The 3 victims began to tape everyone present in the bank as they separated them, first into men and women. Kendo saw Izuku amongst the people who got tied up first and had his eyes and mouth taped and separated. Kendo then sits in uneasy knowing that she had to do something before this thing got escalated. They were now a hostage in a bank situation, and the robbers were planning to bomb the safe with them being trapped inside. Her mouth and eyes got taped next, and she couldn't say or see at all. She then heard a voice behind her and held her silence. Recognizing the voice, "Prez, it's me." Kendo muffed, seeing that she couldn't respond to a single word at all. "Just listen, okay? The heroes and police outside are ready to break the bank. We need you to distract the guard while they make the entry from the front door and then disarm the bombs on the front door." Kendo muffed under her tape, signaling that she's on board with the plan. Thinking of a plan, she knows that they didn't expect a hero to be present in the bank at all, which gave her the element of surprise. If she didn't do something, then they were all going to turn from hostages to victims, and she refused to become one. Not when she was this close to bringing Izuku back. She then decided to get up, gaining the attention of the robbers, who saw her getting up for no reason. "Hey, what are you doing?" The robber drew his gun and aimed straight at Kendo's direction. Setsuna, whose presence was only a piece of eye and a mouth floating around the bank, also looked in surprise. Of course, when she asked to gain their attention, this is OT what she had in mind. She asked her to distract them, maybe by asking for a toilet or pulling the fire alarm, not standing up and being the target of the day. "Hey, sit down or I will shoot you." The robber cocks his gun and aimed it straight at her, but she ignored his warning and walked over to him, following his voice. "I'm not kidding. Sit down," or his word got stopped when suddenly Kendo enlarged her hand and smacked the robber against the wall, ripping the tape off her. Smack! The robber got hit against the wall as Kendo rips the tape in her eyes and pulled it out and took her enlarged left hand and swung it like a fan. Quirk, this girl is a hero? One of the robbers claimed in surprise. Kendo then rushes in and throws a punch at one of them using her fist, knocking them away and making them unconscious. She quickly tried to subdue them long enough for the heroes outside to come or even distract them. Then a clicking sound could be heard from behind her as the leader of the robbers aimed his gun at the back of her head, stopping her in her tracks. "Wow, chick, didn't know you could fight like that," the leader grunted, seeing that 3 of his fellow robbers got knocked down pretty quickly because of her. "Oh no, Prez. I need to warn them." Setsuna looked at the situation at hand and sent her eye and her mouth away to alert them to make an entry quickly. "Guess you're a hero in training, right? I'll bet that you're one of those UA brats. Guess you're about to go to hell today, huh?" Kendo stood in fear, almost like she could see that his finger was inches away from pulling the trigger behind her head. Boom! Arg! The robber's attempt to attack her failed, and instead, he got pushed to the front and landed face down on the floor. The hostage civilians who had their eyes and mouths closed got up and ran in panic, hearing a blasting sound coming from the bomb, thinking that the bombs had been detonated. Hiding in the crowd, Izuku hides behind the panicked civilians with his mouth taped, and his hand has a bright blue circular glow right in the middle, staring at the robbers with an evil-looking eye. Bang! At the same time, the door of the bank is busted open thanks to the riot squad and Detective Tsukachi leading the raid after hearing the booming sound coming from the bank, and Setsuna, alerted to the robbery, has a gun to Kendo's head. The riot squad quickly subdued all the robbers and arrested them on the spot. After the civilians were released and led outside of the bank, the ambulance quickly took care of them for any signs of injury. Tsukachi, along with Setsuna, Awaze, Tetsu, and Hananuki, all came to check up on Kendo's situation. "Seriously, guys, I'm fine." Kendo tried to tell them off, but her friends refused to listen. "You sure?" Tetsuetsu asked accusingly. Yes, a few bruises, but it's all good, she assured them, once more showing that she's okay. Well, the important thing is that you're safe, Tsukachi claims after checking up on Kendo's testimony of the incident. He then excused himself from the group, saying that he needed to head to the office for the arrest report on the robbers. Setsuna, who's in the group, had a complicated look on her face, and it was noticed by her friends. What is it? You look lost in thought. Awais asked, spotting her distraught look. No, it's just I kept thinking about the incident. One of the robbers got shot in the back before they entered. Could it be that one of the guards had retaliated and fired at the robber? Setsuna thought out loud, wondering who the mysterious person was who had knocked the robber out cold. Then Kendo recalls remembering that Izuku was at the bank during the incident. Could it be that he's the one who saved her? He's the one who rescued her from being attacked by those robbers. Hey, did you see him? He's amongst the hostages too, right? Kendo glances his head left and right, looking around. Who? Tetsu asked. Who? Is there someone you know back at the bank? Hananuki added. But Kendo herself looks unsure if what she was seeing is even true. Is it possible that what she saw back then is just a figment of her imagination? Of someone who looks just like him, and she made herself believe that it was truly him? Is she really missing him that much that she starts making up people that wasn't there just to make sure that she's deluded herself like that? Closing her eyes, Kendo answered with a sigh, no, it was nothing. Just forget about it. It's Wednesday, which is 2 days after the bank robbery incident that took place in the bank where Kendo was held hostage, and she has been more than ready to get back to school and resume her school activities. Right now, she was in her room packed with many people inside, from Izumi, Momo, Kendo herself, and Hatsum, all discussing their discovery of the notes they found on the walls and were waiting for Kendo to return to discuss it. Okay, I know that we're discussing that we'll do this together. Hatsum starts the conversation in hand while talking to the group, but I just can't resist waiting, and I skimmed the small part of the notes left by Izuku. Figures. Izumi sighed, feeling like she saw this coming already. And what did you find? Kendo asked. It's most likely investigation notes in regards of a man named Hisashi Midoriya, who I assumed is his father, right? Hatsum leads the conversation in hand. Well, I found that there's a lot of similarity in the names before, so I started digging everything I could possibly find on Hisashi Midoriya. He's a social worker in some middle company. Married to Inko Midoriya, both went to UA and had 2 children, Izumi and Izuku Midoriya. Then he got into a car accident, and Inko Midoriya remarried a man named Toshinori Yagi, who we know as All Might. The car accident indicates that he crashed into a tree while driving at night, and he was found bleeding and dead on the spot. The car flipped, and it exploded, according to the police report. The fire burned his body before the firefighter arrived. Nothing else? Momo flipped a few stacks of paper they found, thinking there was more to it. From his notes, just that. But what concerns me is that from his investigation, Izuku believes that All Might had something to do with the accident. Hatsum went on to explain. Had something to do with how? Izumi asked, wondering just how deep her father was roped into this mess. He didn't say specifics in the notes, except there's a number of investigations and a couple of evidence that didn't make any sense to me at all. Hatsum showed the stacks of notes that he picked up, with mostly consisting of surveillance notes on All Might from before he entered UA to the Kamino incident. March 10th, I followed All Might after he got out, talking to the staff about the decision in regards of M entry using One for All secret as blackmail. He seems displeased, but Principal Nizu explains that it's the only way. He angrily complied and left the room. March 23rd, All Might suspected me of the malfunction of Bakugu's gauntlet. I said that I had nothing to do with it, but he didn't believe me. The truth is, I meddled with the design material on his gauntlet before it arrived on the 3rd-year student, shifting the layers with a new material which unable to withstand the force of the explosion. April 4th, a detective came to interrogate me about the USJ incident. I suspect All Might had something to do with it, so I play along. I didn't see him in the room, but I could tell that he was watching me. April 17th, I just booked the studio for a month to make a new invention for my support items for sports festival event. When I find something suspicious, the pen in my desk has been moved 2 inches from where it should be. I'm certain someone is sneaking into my office. May 2nd, All Might had begun snooping in my desk quite often after I won the sports festival. I found traces of golden long hair on my desk, and I ran the DNA, and it matches him. Nothing is missing, but I need to be careful. May 4th, he tried to bribe me to drop Bakuga case. I refused, and he threatened to ruin everyone who's close to me. I retaliate, saying that I will be the one who ruins his life first. I'm waiting for the intel that Kenji is supposed to give me. May 28th, someone has been following me outside of UA when I went outside of the Mizutofu area. I spotted someone who looked like an adult tailing me from behind, wearing sunglasses like a government official or private security, and I tried to ditch them. I suspected that he's not alone when following me. June 10th, someone I didn't recognize came to the studio and did a check on my computer system, saying that he's part of the UA maintenance team, but I didn't recognize him. Once he left, I checked the whole nook and cranny of everything in the room, and I found a mini cam and a mic on the air vent. I also found a backdoor program on my computer. This isn't All Might's doing, this is someone else. June 19th, Kenji sent me the receipt of my suspicions. The date of the receipt is 3 days after my dad is presumed dead, in need of detailed investigation. July 11th, I began doing an investigation on my dad when I found something that led me to All Might. If this is right, then I have found the way to ruin his career and am able to use it to threaten him. If this is right, then my dad's name can be cleared once and for all. July 12th, I was right. The car bumper on my dad's car in the accident had something red and blue in the front. I asked the detective who's in charge of the investigation, and he said that it needs to be erased from the evidence request from the higher-ups. All Might had something to do with it for sure. July 15th, I called All Might's cell phone using Izumi's caller ID yesterday. The threat worked, and he seems to be backing off from pestering my life. Finally, I can clear my dad's name. July 17th, Bakugu's trial starts tomorrow, and I plan on coming to witness his downfall. Once he is done, I'm planning to wait for All Might to make a statement, or else I will release everything I have on my dad on national level news. They read over his diary transcript, and they still couldn't believe it. To think that Izuku's death has something to do with All Might for sure, but it gave them some clarity on the situation. Whatever it was that he was investigating, it clearly had something to do with All Might and Hisashi Midoriya being the center of it. "Oh God," Kendo exclaimed and immediately took a seat on the bed, knowing just how deep this goes. Oh my good God. And that's just the scratch of it. But in those notes, he suspected that All Might had something to do with the accident, Hatsum concluded. Immediately, Izumi gets up from her seat, slamming the chair down in anger, and heads out the door. "I'm going to report him," Izumi growled, turning to the door and marching her way. "I'm going to march to the police and tell them everything. That sick father of mine had gone too far this time with his sick plan and—" Wait, no. Hatsum was quick to assure her, grabbing her hand before she could march out. "Look, you can't just go there and tell them to arrest the #1 hero. I get where you're coming from, but you need to cool your head for a while." "I don't care," Izumi shouts. "To think that I once looked up to him. He's just a hypocrite who ruined people's lives behind that smile of his." Hatsum's right. Surprisingly, it was Kendo who uttered those words, and the two of them turned and saw that both Kendo and Momo looked in agreement, but their facial expression looked angry, just like Izumi's. "Kendo, you can't. I'm not saying that we should bury this, but we can't just go up and dash our way to authority with flimsy theory. If we're not careful, our future could be in jeopardy. All Might is a top-respected hero in the public's eyes. He has allies from the Hero Commission to even the police. If he wanted, then he could dismiss this case before it reached the media." Momo backed Kendo's word, and despite Izumi hating it, Momo was right. He would have tried to dismiss our case with ease. "But what happened to Izuku is in a different case," Kendo replied. "What do you mean?" Hatsum is the first to ask. "We could easily guess with our evidence in hand, along with Izuku's theory, that he would have dismissed it. But what happened to Izuku is different since he was being eliminated out of his way. It's not as subtle as a threat of knowing, but he must have possessed hard evidence to go against it," Kendo concluded, knowing that whatever Izuku had in hand, perhaps that could bring down All Might's entire reputation, maybe even his life. But what evidence? What could it be that Izuku had in hand that could scare All Might to the point of taking such extreme measures? Hatsum thought along with everyone in the room, try to rack their brain hard. They all thought about it long and hard, trying to come up with an answer, but they were troubled as well. As far as they knew, all the evidence had been filed by the police, the car had been logged as evidence, and it was already 10 years ago, so it must have been dated. Could it be a CCTV recording? But they won't. Years. These people weren't sloppy like that. A bystander who watched the whole thing? Then why target Izuku in the first place? It's way too risky and didn't bring the point. They should have eliminated the key witness instead. Do you think you could ask Shoto? You told us once that he owed a favor with us, remember? Momo mentioned, remembering that Hatsum once told them about it, saying that Shoto came to make a deal with Izuku in order to save his sister of the Kamino incident. Well, that plan went down the drain. Hatsum spats, remembering their conversation once before with the dual-haired, colored boy. Flashback start. No, I don't, Shoto answered in front of Hatsum after her request to give him information regarding his class. Hatsum looked at him and couldn't believe how he could just go back on his word like that. What? We had a deal. You said that we'll help you with your sister, and I don't have a deal with you, but with Deku. And since he is already dead, I didn't owe you anything in the first place. Shoto responds before he coldly leaves. Flashback end. Wait, I got it. Momo suddenly got a theory in her mind. It's still hypothetical, but if she's right, then this will be huge. Did the report explain about Izuku's father's body? The body? Kendo asked, scribbling the papers around and finding something of an autopsy report. The report says it was cremated during the incident. It completely charred everything. Then I was right. Momo confirms, cementing her suspicion. What right? What are you talking about? Izumi asked impatiently. If you didn't see it, then it didn't happen. What if Hisashi Midoriya's body is never charred in the first place? Momo asked and spoke her theory. What if somehow the body still exists and is being kept hidden? That's crazy. Hatsum spoke, thinking that they had gone down to a conspiracy theory now. No, Momo's right. Kendo supported her theory. The only evidence we had that Hisashi Midoriya is truly dead is the death certificate. What if he never actually died from the car crash and perished in the flames? What? You meant that he's alive all this time? Hatsum asked out loud. No, he's probably dead. Izumi joins in. A concussion to the head at high velocity like that would surely cause internal bleeding, which is going to get worse if not treated, and there's no record of Hisashi Midoriya being admitted to any hospital for the incident from Izuku's investigation. She had to admit that Izuku had thought of everything, investigating every angle and following every lead and scenario that could possibly happen. That's why they viewed him as someone dangerous on their side. So you're saying? I'm saying that Izuku found it. He found the location of Hisashi Midoriya's burial site. Upon hearing the words out of Momo's mouth, they couldn't believe what they were hearing. Izuku found it? He found his father's gravesite, and it was being used to put pressure on All Might to force him to take extreme measures. They couldn't believe it. For real? We might not know where, but at least this brings us closer to giving him the closure he needed for starting this case. So our job is to find out where it was? Yeah, let's round up all the potential places where he could hide it, and we'll check up on it later on, but now we'd better get back to bed. Yeah, tomorrow is our hero work study, right? Izumi soon realizes, looking at the clock, how late they have been all this time. Yeah, we'd better wrap this up for today. I gotta get up early for tomorrow, too. Soon, all the girls are out of the room and heading back to their respective, with Hatsum returning to her dorm house, which is on the other side of the building. But hiding behind the corner of the walls is Schofield Sensei, who's watching them leave one by one from Kendo's room, eyeing them cautiously, making sure he wasn't unnoticed before he quietly took his leave. The internship hero work study has begun for the first-year students, as they had their pick of where they would choose to go. Class B had their picks on where to go, as they all went in different directions with different kinds of heroes. Izumi decided that she would go to a hero named Night Eye after Gran Torino had recommended her to go to him, since the elderly hero couldn't spare a second to take her under her wings. Hatsum, who's a support student, didn't have any hero work study program and chose to stay and work on her invention while tutoring Uria, who decided to stay close to her recently. Momo and Kendo choose to go to a different agency together. Since the last time they went together was with Iwabami, they decided to go to a different hero and go with Fat Gum, along with Tamaki, who's part of the Big Three, and Kirishima, who somehow joined in with them and giving a side eyes towards Momo, specifically who switches class and saw her as a betrayer. Momo leaned back in her train seat and looked out the window at the passing landscape. Tamaki put on earphones and closed his eyes. He apologized beforehand, but social interaction was still not his specialty. Kendo also sits right next to her, but has an annoying look on her face, seeing that they weren't the only ones who decided to go to Fat Gum Agency. Hey girls, what's going on? Sitting in front of them is Mikumo, who wears a friendly smile while sitting beside Tamaki. Why are you here? Momo asked first before Kendo could give a reply. Pure chance. He replied, I got the approval from Principal Nizu and got myself a spot for the heroic course this month. But the principal is working on the details first, and he decided that I need to join in with the hero work study first. And here I was running into you two girls. It must be fate. He wore a cheeky smile, replying to the two girls who wore a strained smile. Oh. Kendo responded with a blank look on her face while keeping her eyes on her phone, while Momo engaged in a conversation with Mikumo. Kendo has been trying to find out about their conversation last night about where Izuku's father is. She had crossed off quite a list for last night, but none of them seemed to be a good place to bury a body. She then thought of all the places that All Might went to in the last 10 years, but then it would be too much and time-consuming. So she asked Izuku's runaway friends to help with the search and come up with a possible location to help narrow down the search. She texted over to her phone, and suddenly it went dead, remembering that she forgot to charge it last night while busy working on her theory. Damn it, it went up dead. Kendo stared at the blank screen of her phone when, suddenly, she was offered a phone call on her front. If your battery's dead, why don't you use my phone? I charged it full battery last night. Seeing that you must be talking to someone important just now. He offered her his phone to take, but Kendo didn't take it, knowing that she was trying to contact Kenji. Oh, it's okay. I could just borrow Momo's phone instead, right? She looked around to Momo, hoping that she would lend her phone. Oh, sure. Here you go. Momo offered her phone for Kendo to take while the heiress resumed her conversation with Mikumo. Don't get too comfortable, Mikumo. These people will stab you in the back just like how they stabbed our class. Kirishima spats. Stab? From the looks of it, all of you guys were the ones who stabbed them in the first place. Mikumo joins in on the conversation, seeing that he was roped into all of this. What are you talking about? Kirishima asked. You think I believe that nonsense from the media, how you guys were innocent, and those rumors spreading before were a hoax? All of you were all sins right from the get-go like that Bakuga kid. Mikumo replied, not believing for a second the fake news that their class had been proven innocent. You're just confused. You don't know what you're talking about. Kirishima replied, trying to dismiss the accusation that's placed on him, and don't talk about my bro like that. Oh, so you're friends with Bakugu, huh? Well, that's interesting. Mikumo eyed him while smirking at this new revelation he's just got. Seeing his way of looking towards him, Kirishima decides to end this conversation before he pries even further into his business. Whatever, just stay away from me, you freak. Mikumo grins in an evil manner, knowing that he just hit Kirishima right on the spot. Momo and Kendo, who watched the interaction, couldn't help that when it comes to Class A business, Mikumo likes to test his luck and push their nerve button, like he had some personal vendetta against them. While the others were in their internship, Hatsum decided to stay in her lab and tinkered with her invention. Not just that, but it's also the end of the month, which means that she needs to do an inventory check on her tools per power loader request. Inside the studio, she's also being accompanied by Uria, who volunteered to take part in the task and is trying to help out. He had been coming to the lab quite often and always helping out with her invention. Why is it that a busy, important person such as myself has to clean up the studio in the first place? Hatsum grunts in annoyance, not enjoying the task at hand. Well, it can't be helped after all. Power Loader Sensei wants all of the inventions categorized and the tools to be inspected. Uria replied, trying to calm his mentor down. But I didn't see your friend Hatsum-san. Yaoyorozu and Yagi didn't come today. Oh, they were at the internship or something. The Hero Corps students are all going there after all. Hatsum replied while sitting on a ladder, moving up boxes from the shelf. All of them? Yeah, they get to go out while we're stuck here, cleaning the place. Uria takes notes and labels down all the inventory they had in hand before moving to Hatsum's desk and trying to borrow a pen, seeing that his pen is running out of ink. He pulled up her drawer, hoping to find a pen or something, but only found a notebook instead. The notebook looks old for some reason, and it has a noticeable burn mark on the bottom edge. He opens the book and scribbles a few pages and finds several notes about a hero, like some kind of analysis on the pages. His eyes paid great attention to the details of the notes, and he continued to read them before the notes were snatched away from Hatsum's hand. Her expression looks panicked and mixed with anger, finding it scary since she never showed any kind of angry expression before. "Where did you find it?" Hatsum asked like she was interrogating him. "Sorry for not asking, but I was kind of curious about it." "How far did you read it?" "How far?" Hatsum asked, her emotions in turmoil while holding the book close to her fingertips. Just a couple of pages in front. I was kind of curious, so I figured I would read a few pages. I was trying to borrow your pen." Uria answered, looking all scared of his mentor's anger. Upon hearing his answer, Hatsum sighed in relief before putting the notebook back in the drawer, and this time she locked it. She then handed him her pen that she had pulled from her locker. "Here." She hands him the pen. "You're looking for one, right?" "Oh, right. Thanks." He immediately took the pen and continued to work after the tense atmosphere. Hatsum tries to resume her work just like before, but her mind is racing over the fact that someone had spotted Izuku's notebook. And this is the same notebook that she found when she confronted him after the sports festival. The same notebook that's filled with Izuku's story of his time back in Aldera, while living under the bullying of Katsuki Bakugu. The same notebook where he listed the names of his targets and decided to go after them. She eyed Uria cautiously, wondering if he had found the notebook based on carelessness, or perhaps he was looking for one. If she remembered right, she locked that drawer tightly. So how come he was able to get his hands on? Was he looking at that notebook in the first place? The next morning after the internship, Izumi is currently standing in Naitai's office along with Bubble Girl and Mirio, whom she recognized from the impromptu fight they had before. He wears his hero costume, which consists of a white skin-tight top with the number 1,000,000 stamped across his chest in a bold yellow font. It's the first day of the internship program, and Izumi is being briefed by Naitai about their objective for today, along with Mirio. "So today, we'll be doing patrol and surveillance. Bubble Girl and I will go in pairs, while you go with Mirio." Naitai instructed. "Surveillance?" Izumi is confused since they'll be doing surveillance, which she has never done before. "Our office is currently doing an investigation on a small organization villain called 8 Percept of Death," Naitai explained. "Their leader is this man, Kai Chisaki, who calls himself Overhaul." He shows them his picture for them to recognize him. He's been on the run for quite a long time, and he finally starts to make a move, and based on our latest info, he's been in contact with the League. Suddenly, Izumi perked up, hearing that name since the last time she heard it was during the Kamino battle. "Right now we have no evidence that he's committed something dangerous, so be on the lookout and watch for anything suspicious." Izumi nodded and went out with Mirio to patrol the area. So they decided to split up and head to their own area. Mirio and Izumi were walking around the area to patrol and keeping their eye on in case Overhaul or any other villain showed up. "You look nervous." Mirio looked at Izumi as she kept turning her head around to look at her surroundings. "Well, yeah. I meant this is the first time I'm doing a patrol in a city," Izumi told him. "Didn't you have a patrol after the sports festival?" Mirio asked. "Well, it kind of went bust after the whole Hosu thing," Izumi explained. "Plus, I didn't get a lot of chance to go on a patrol other than a small one that we had in class." "Oh, not to worry. We're just patrolling the vicinity area since this whole place is being monitored by Sir himself," Mirio assured her, to which she was silently glad. "Oh, by the way, I never got to know your hero's name," Mirio asked, remembering that they never got the chance to introduce each other's aliases. "Oh, my name's Inertia," she replied. "That's a good name," he replied, complimenting her hero name. "Mine's Lemillion. It stands for 1,000,000, as in I wanted to save 1,000,000 people when I'm on the job." Lemillion. Huh. That's a pretty good name, Izumi replies, complimenting him too, and upon walking, her eyes widened in shock before she ran off, leaving Mirio. Izumi, what is it? Mirio asked to chase her. She continued to run ahead towards the group of college students, all gathered in a tight group. Izumi runs off, glancing to his left and right, thinking that she saw someone familiar. Izumi, what's wrong? Do you see a villain or something? I thought I saw someone I knew, Izumi said, panting her breath from running. No, there's no way it's true. Must be someone else. She thought before she walked away and resumed her patrol with Mirio. Hiding behind the corner of the alley, someone eyed her behind the wall with a disguise, looking all hidden. Izuku eyed her from the alley gap, his scarred face looking at her as she walked away. Aizawa walked down to the principal's office after being called by him just now to discuss something with him. He didn't know exactly why the principal chose to call him on short notice, but whatever it is, it better be important for him to interrupt his sleeping schedule. He knocked on the door 3 times before he heard Principal Nizu's sound, allowing him to enter and see the principal sitting at his desk. Ah, Aizawa. Please take a seat. I have something to discuss. What is it? He took a seat, and Principal Nizu poured them both a cup of tea from his pot. Principal Nizu hands him a cup of tea before he addresses the situation. Tell me, what do you think about your students, Aizawa? What is your assessment of them as their homeroom teacher? Aizawa took a moment to consider his answer before he replied, Well, I think that they're a bunch of troublemaker kids and arrogant these days. Always talking a big game, but having a hard time backing it up. I believe that it has something to do with the moving of both my students. A part of that plays a factor as well. Principal Nizu nods before resuming the core of the conversation. But what about Izuku Midoriya? I assume that he plays a factor in all of this. What do you think about him? Aizawa sighed, closing his eyes before speaking. For what I can tell, he's a good kid. Determined, strong in academics and physical. He had a great mind, but something seemed off about him every time I saw him in the hallway or the class. Off how? He questioned. I'm not blind enough to know that he had deep roots against Katsuki Bakugo, but whenever I saw him in the hallway a couple of times, I felt like the kid was wearing a mask to hide his intentions sometimes, that he's always masking his intention from everyone. Izuku Midoriya is probably the best student and the most mysterious one that has ever graced this school. He came showing about Bakugo past on the global scale, which results in UA getting caught in the eye of the storm, and he shows deep hostility towards my class. And I'm willing to bet that it has something to do with their past, one that came from Aldera. Yes, that's correct. He nodded, seemingly pleased by how he came up with all of that by himself, which is why I came here asking for a favor. What kind of favor? I need you to use your connection as an underground hero to dig up any dirt that you find on Aldera, and I need you to do it quietly. Upon hearing that, Aizawa couldn't help but ask, Principal, what is going on? Last time, I heard that you were cutting a deal with Midoriya about the press on our doors, and now you're asking me to run things for you. So what's going on? Because I know that you won't do this kind of thing without a valid reason. I had a suspicion that your students are hiding something in their records. I tried accessing it before, but it got backfired, and I was rejected by the HPSC. I assumed whatever they did, it was buried by the HPSC too. So you want me to snoop around, finding something buried in their record that's not written there? He asked and understood what the principal asked him for. Yes, I had suspicion of my own. But if I'm right, then we need to act quickly before this whole thing explodes right in our face. I'm on it. He nods before taking his leave and out from the office. Izumi and Mirio kept patrolling the area as they talked with each other. As they continued to walk, Izumi felt something come and bump her. She turned her head down and saw a little girl come running, wearing a hospital gown, looking all scared. Oh, sorry, I don't see you there. Izumi kneeled in front of her. Then suddenly, before she could speak, a man came from the alley looking for her. The man came with short, shaggy auburn hair parted to the right, and his mouth covered by a plague doctor mask. The man is revealed to be Overhaul from the picture Night Eye just showed her before the patrol started. Eri, what are you doing there? You shouldn't be bothering the heroes, you know. Overhaul came while looking at her. Excuse me, but who are you? Izumi asked while holding Eri in her arms. Oh, I'm her father. Overhaul answered, giving her a blatant lie. You don't really look alike. Izumi eyed him. She tends to look more like her mother. Anyway, we need to go, Eri. Don't wait for too long. Overhaul said while extending his hand for Eri to take. But Eri tightened her grip on Izumi, not wanting to let go. Izumi knows that the man standing in front of her is Overhaul, the one that her agency is looking for. She was caught in a dilemma on whether to let her go or to make a run and take her to the agency as a witness. But before she could do anything, Mirio gave her a look telling her not to do anything rash, so she was forced to choose the former choice. Oh, apologies, I don't know that you're in a hurry. Izumi slowly loosens her grip while handing her to Overhaul. Yeah, anyway, thanks, heroes. Overhaul said while turning his head around while holding Eri at her wrist. And as they leave towards the dark alley, Mirio stepped forward while tapping her shoulder, telling her go. It's okay, I know that must be tough. We'll rescue her, Mirio assured her. Yeah, I hope so, Izumi said as she bit her lips in anger, knowing that she just handed that little girl back to Overhaul's grasp. After that, Mirio contacted Bubble Girl, telling her about their encounter with Overhaul. Naitai and Bubble Girl meet up with Izumi and Mirio. Sorry, we screwed up. We didn't expect that we would be meeting with Overhaul himself in the street like that. Mirio apologizes for messing up, but Naitai refutes Mirio's apology. No, it was my error to begin with. Had I been using my core from the start, it could have been prevented, he said. But I didn't get the sense that guy was dangerous. I meant other than treating her own daughter with a lack of care. Izumi said, wondering about it. However, Sir Naitai states that a gang of thieves was involved in a truck accident involving Overhaul and the 8 percept of death, but there were 0 casualties, which surprises her. After feeling a sense of pain and loss of consciousness, the gang came out of the incident completely unscathed. Not only that, all their chronic illnesses from rheumatism to cavities were healed without a trace. They suspected that the reason for that was Overhaul's quirk, but as a result, since there were 0 wounded and the gang was apprehended, Overhaul could not be charged with any crimes. The money that was stolen was the only thing that completely vanished without a trace, and the police force believed that no crime had occurred. She tells Naitai that they gained new information that Overhaul has a daughter named Eri. And after hearing that, Naitai decided to let them both go and told them to go home, while he continued with the investigation of their new information. We'll resume tomorrow. Both of you, head back to the dorm and get some rest. Naitai excused them both while he and Bubble Girl head back to the office. Mirio and Izumi also head in a different direction, with Izumi still wanting to circle around the city, and Mirio said he had plans with Nijire and Tamaki later on. Izumi then distances herself to clear her mind over the incident that just happened now. She can't save her. She can't save that little girl when she's clearly in need of a rescue, and all she can do is just retreat because of some order. She didn't want to say it, but if Izuku were to be here, he would have ignored the rules and just saved the girls herself, even at the cost of his career. He might not very much like the concept of a hero, but he's going to act like one when push comes to shove. She then took the train to the station and walked down, deciding that she would return to the dorm, and just in time, her train arrived at the exact time she climbed down, and she quickly entered before the door closed. That was close, she thought. She looked up at the window door where she had just come in, and her eyes widened upon seeing someone who was walking on the side where people just came out from the train. It was a boy around her height. He had the same eyes as hers. He wears black clothes and a black jacket with a knit cap over his head. His face bears a striking resemblance to hers from time to time, and he looks through the mirror with only his scar on the right side of his face that's different from hers. Wait! She soon realized who it was, but the train had already moved and his figure had disappeared from within her sight. There's no mistake. That's my brother. That's Izuku. He's alive? Out at night, in the Shinjuku area, Mr. Sagaya, with his driver holding the wheel while he sits in the back, has just got back from a meeting with the government officials to discuss in terms of some business as a representative of HPSC. Sitting in the back, he's on the phone with one of his operatives who's responsible for handling all the general affairs and administration of his business when he suddenly got an urgent call late at night. What? Mr. Sagaya asked over the phone, confirming what he had just heard. You saw. Izuku Midoriya? Yes, sir. There was a robbery case at the bank in Shibuya. His staff informed him over the phone of his discovery. Looking at the footage of the robbery, the trial for the case reported that it started today afternoon, and they showed a video of someone who looks like him appearing on the camera. Maybe I'm overthinking about it, since it was reported that Izuku Midoriya is already deceased by one of our operative agents. He quickly informed, thinking that he might just be chasing a loose wind. But Mr. Sagaya didn't believe in coincidence. He's been doing this job for over 40 years now, and there's no such thing as coincidence in this world. It's the weight of his instinct and experience from the job. If something happened, it's because fate wants it to happen. But from his knowledge, Izuku Midoriya is already confirmed dead. He saw the report himself from All Might and witnessed it from Lady Nagant, confirming the death from the footage itself. Could it be that he was alive? Call Lady Nagant, Mr. Sagaya ordered. Sir, him appearing out of nowhere like that is not a coincidence in our line of work. Mr. Sagaya told him, wearing a hardened look, is it just an idiot who dressed up like him? Or maybe we have ourselves a ghost roaming around in street. Either way, we have to find that ghost of us before he disappears to the underworld. It's late at night in the Kansai region in the Esso market. Kirishima, Mikumo, and Tamaki are patrolling the streets with Fat Gum. They all patrolled in one large group after they separated from this afternoon, with Kirishima, Mikumo, and Tamaki in one group, and the others went in a different direction before meeting in the middle. Momo and Kendo went in a different direction and were about to meet right at the night market at Esaha for today. Well, guess we got ourselves a quiet night for today, huh? Fat Gum commented, looking at the quiet situation in the market, almost like it's peaceful around here. Is it always quiet like this? Mikumo asked. Well, things tend to get all quiet quite sometimes, which is a good thing. Fat Gum replied, while taking a bite of his takoyaki in hand. Anyway, the hero office here does not like to take up arms, so you two were in the right place. Looking forward to it, Kirishima gave his thanks for allowing him to work under Fat Gum as a work studies, whereas Fourth Kind did not take him, and he's glad that Fat Gum accepted him. Tamaki looked down. You guys are so tenacious. I wish Mirio were here. He would know how to handle your energy. Fat Gum slurped another tray of takoyaki and looked over his shoulder at Tamaki. You'll have that much energy whenever we fix that psyche of yours. You're not helping, he said with a wobbly voice. Why do you always have to hurt me like this? Kirishima chuckled. I'm pretty sure that's just his way of encouraging you. But no matter how much he tries, I'll never be as cheery and positive as Mirio, Tamaki commented. Well, at least he's not trying to fake his positive attitude. Mikumo quipped. Anyway, where are those two? They should be here right now. Fat Gum glances to his left and right, looking for Kendo and Momo, who weren't here as instructed. Yeah, where are those two anyway? Kirishima glances around, trying to find them too. Hey, I'm asking you before already. The group stopped and turned their attention toward a nearby alleyway. They all went towards the source of the voice and found Kendo speaking with one of the shop tenants in a loud voice that sounded frustrated. This knit cap that your store had is definitely one of a kind since it was custom made with a special request, right? Kendo asked while holding a black knit cap in her hand with a logo of the store engraved right in the back. So you must have known who bought those items, right? No, I don't remember anyone you described coming here. The staff denies it, not recalling that the person she's talking about ever came to the store. Kendo, can you please tell me about this person you're looking for? Momo asked, since she's starting to attract other people's attention with her loud voice. I'll explain it later. Kendo hurriedly shushed her up and tried to get the staff to tell. Whoa, what's going on here? Fat Gum came rushing in after hearing what appeared to be an argument breaking in. Fat Gum-sensei, no, it's nothing. Just a little investigating, that's all. Kendo replied, almost like afraid of being found out. Well, if you're done with it, we'd better get back to the patrol, Fat Gum replied, and the two of them made their way back to the patrol after apologizing to the store owner. Mikumo then walks up to the store owner and asks what's that all about. Hey, those two girls, did they talk about anything besides hats? Yeah, she kept asking me if a boy with a burn on his right cheek came to buy anything, the store owner replied. A boy with a burn cheek? Mikumo thought. He then thanked the shop owner and followed with Fat Gum and the others. Once they had taken their leave, the shop owner sighed after the confrontation he had just had before he placed the hat back on the rack, and someone came to the shop. It was Schofield-sensei. "Excuse me, can I ask you a few questions?" Schofield-sensei asked after they had walked away. After they had just finished their patrol for today in the area, Fat Gum had to take a refill of his snack and went to the yakisoba vendor stall to get his order. Tamaki and Kirishima stood waiting for their mentor while having a talk. Mikomo is on his phone while calling someone saying that it's a friend, and Kendo is standing near the lamppost trying to discover the mystery of the purchased hat that she saw when she met Izuku at the bank. Momo is in the convenience store buying a bottle of tea after a long, exhausting day of patrolling and following on some lead that Kendo had, which led to having a small argument with the store owner just now. Kendo is acting all weird these days. Is it because of her parents' death? Momo thought while paying the cashier for her bottled tea. She told me not to tell Izumi and Hatsum just yet, but what's with her asking about a black hat? After Momo had paid the clerk for her drink, she looked up front from the glass reflection and saw someone who matched Kendo's description from the shop owner pass behind her. A boy around 5 feet 5 inches feet, dressed all black from top to bottom, wearing a black knit cap, and had a burn mark on the right side of his face. But it was the identity of that person that shocked her. "Hey, wait." She called out to the boy and quickly picked up her bottled tea and rushed from the store. "Wait a minute." But when she came out of the store, the boy was nowhere to be seen. Momo thought for a moment, wondering if the person Kendo is looking for is actually the same person she just saw. That face, there's no mistake it. That's Izuku. Meanwhile, Kendo is just coming out of the coffee shop after ordering a cup of coffee to go, trying to keep herself awake and running for her investigation just now. She knows what she saw that day now, for sure. That she wasn't hallucinating and actually saw Izuku is alive. At first, she might think herself delusional, but the more she thought about it, the more she was sure that Izuku was actually alive. Izuku is a very talented person for someone of his age. He's well-resourceful, has a great instinct, is able to stay one step ahead of his enemy, and manages to outmaneuver every way that All Might and Class A had planned for him and managed to come out victorious. The entrance exam, sports festival, island incident, the trial case, every single one of them had never brought him down, and it made him victorious. Kendo took a gulp of her coffee and drank it down while trying to think of the conversation she had with that shop owner. If someone is having a distinct characteristic of a burn mark at that young age, the shop owner must have recognized him right away. Kendo thought for a moment. Is it possible that he wasn't there? Or is it just someone who looks like him? Kendo sighed before she played with her cup of coffee and spun in her hand, trying to get a look at the playful message that the barista was giving her. The shop is quite famous for giving a word of encouragement or a playful banter on each cup that the customer buys. She turns around and reads the message. Her eyes widen in shock as she reads the message on the cup, as it wasn't an ordinary message. "Run, get away from here." It was definitely a warning meant for her. The message was clear as day. Delivered a message to her, clear as day, and not just some prank from the barista. But what surprises her is that she recognized that handwriting. It was the same handwriting that she saw when she entered his room and read his secret message. It was Izuku's handwriting. I was right, he was here. Just now, watching me closely. Kendo looked to her left and right, wondering if Izuku was indeed here in this place, watching over her like a guardian angel. While Kendo was thinking about her thoughts, Mikomo suddenly rushed in and called her from afar, waving his hand to get her attention. "Oi, Kendo. We need to hurry back. We've got a situation." "A situation? What is it?" Kendo asked. "A terrorist attack. I don't know how, but Tamaki was shot, and the thugs we captured said that his partner is still hidden and plans to bomb the area." "What?" "There's more. The thugs said that if we start with an evacuation of the area, then the bomber will detonate the bomb in 30 minutes if we don't find it." In a staff meeting room within the walls of UA, Principal Nizu sat at a conference table alongside a number of works that he's having right now before Aizawa stormed into his office unannounced. Normally, Principal Nizu would have scolded him for barging into his office unannounced like that, but considering that he had tasked him with a task in hand, he quickly excused himself. Well, you were right. I found something on my search per your request. Aizawa walks in, wearing an uncomfortable look on his face, bearing bad news in hand. Let's have it, Principal Nizu said, cutting straight to the chase. I conducted a deep investigation on both the staff and students who were in Aldera during Katsuki Bakugu and Izuku Midoriya's year at that time, and none of them spoke a word about Izuku Midoriya or Katsuki Bakugu or even students from my Class A. Not a word? He questioned, finding it kind of odd. No, they act like they didn't know them. He shakes his head, and when I pose myself as an intern teacher staff at Aldera High School for the students who might go there from Izuku Midoriya years, they all clammed up the moment I asked the words Izuku Midoriya and Katsuki Bakugu. The students, the teachers, even the cleaning crew and nurses. Nizu sighed, knowing what it meant. If there's a reason why they decided not to speak up about it, it's not because they wouldn't but couldn't. They signed an NDA contract. Most likely, it goes from the students to even the staff. None of them spoke their name like it was a taboo. He spoke before giving one last piece of information. There's one kid who I can get through, but he caved in at the last second when I tried to pry in even further, but he did tell me this. On the day Izuku Midoriya walked out of school, the next day after the incident took place, he said that All Might came and paid a visit to the school. Tashinori did? Nizu looked surprised, thinking that he would be coming to the school as both parents and not the hero persona. Yes, he didn't say anything much after, but the fact that Tashinori came to the school as All Might alone is suspicious enough. Aizawa pointed out the fact in a manner. Nizu sighed, so I was right, this whole thing goes up to the top like a cancer. And we had the biggest lump in our own school since the first day of the semester. Aizawa finished knowing that they harbored a huge problem in hand. The room fell into absolute silence as the occupants digested what Aizawa had just told his boss. Aizawa saw a dangerous glint come from Nizu's eyes as the white animal seemed to decide on something. What had just been presented to them was exactly what they were looking for. Amidst the chaos over finding their mysterious bomber, Kendo is interviewing the security guard, trying to find anyone suspicious who entered in the last 24 hours. From what they have learned, someone is dressing up as a civilian, ready with a detonator at hand to explode the city. They didn't know who or what their goal is, but considering that their threat is real, they have no choice but to play along. And the thugs also said that they aren't allowed to evacuate the area or inform other heroes, or they will detonate the bomb. So they have to find it themselves. So, do you find anyone suspicious entering the area for today? Kendo asked the guards. Not that I know of. He replied, I'm on the night shift. But my friend here is from the morning shift. He pointed his back where his friends are. So, did you see someone suspicious? She asked, repeating the same question to a different guard. I don't know about suspicious, but I did see someone scary looking coming here around the evening. He thought for a moment before remembering someone who matches her description. A kid with a scary looking burn mark. A burn mark? Is it a boy dressed all black and wearing a knit cap? Kendo asked. Yes, he was. He answered. Is it Izuku? Coming from behind her, Momo asked her, confirming her suspicion from before. I saw someone just now at the convenience store. A boy wearing a knit hat had a burn on his face. No way. Is he here? She hurriedly asked. Yeah. But he disappeared, Momo answered. Then I was right. It was him, she muttered under her breath. Then the person you're looking for is him? Momo asked, confirming what she suspected all along. Yeah, I saw him during the bank robbery incident, and I've been looking for him, which lead me to the hat store here for their custom-made design. Kendo starts to explain, giving her side of the story. I'm sorry for not telling you, but I had my doubts too about seeing someone who looks like him in the first place. But still, Momo spoke. Is it possible that it was all a trap for us? Kendo said, looking at Momo, not knowing where she came from. You said it yourself, Izuku is dead. We even did a comparison on the DNA found on the car, and it matches, right? So he can't still be alive. Momo argues, thinking, how could Izuku be somehow still alive after that car accident? But I know that Izuku could have gotten away somehow. He survived worse. And who was his trap supposed to? Look, we need to start logically. Momo spoke up. If Izuku is indeed alive all this time, then why hasn't he come to us in the first place? Why didn't he contact us? or Izumi, or Hatsum, because he can't. His burn mark must have given him amnesia, and he can't speak because of it. But you didn't think that it was a coincidence, that somehow, once we're closing in on Izuku's father case, he starts to appear and come and go. Can't you see that this might be a trap set for us all? No. I know what I saw, and besides, he left me with this. Kendo hands her an empty cup of coffee with a message on it, showing it to Momo. Momo read it and saw it was just as the message said, and it did happen. Then Izuku saw that it might have happened. He must have seen it before us. Yeah, he must have sensed it and alerted us to get away. Kendo replied, but she also wondered why he had to deliver a secret message like this instead of meeting directly. Mikumo then runs off towards them, breaking up their conversation. What are you guys doing? Fat Gum said that he's found something, so he needs us back. Oh, okay. Momo nods and begins to run off along with Kendo, who follows afterwards. Right now, she needs to do her job and get the bombs out of the way. Izuku could wait after she helped clear the area. Upon running, Mikumo ran off in a hurry, he accidentally bumping against someone, and both of them fell when he made his run through the intersection. Ouch! I'm sorry. I'm in a hurry. He falls on his butt and sees who he bumps into. Hey, I know you. Uria, what are you doing here? Kendo went on and asked, wondering how he came here in the first place. Oh, I came with my friend from the junior school. I didn't realize that you guys were also here. Uria looked around, spotting the three of them here also. Sorry, we don't have time to chat around. Mikumo then suddenly walks out of there and apologizes to the person in a hurry. Momo and Kendo also follow and apologize to Uria in a hurry. Momo, Kendo, Mikumo, Kirishima, Tamaki, along Fat Gum all gathered after the police had interrogated the thugs for some answer with the locations of the bombs themselves. It took some time, but they managed to acquire 3 different locations in 3 different places. The bombs were all in different areas. One is in the south gate, one is on the east gate, and the other is on the west gate. Fat Gum informed them of the situation at hand, knowing how serious this is. They didn't want to tell us what it looks like, so we've got our work cut out. And we only got about 15 minutes, he informed, showing the situation in his hands. 15 minutes? Kirishima exclaimed in surprise. We can argue later. We'll go in 3 different groups. Kirishima, and I'll go to South Gate. Yaoyorozu and Tamaki, you guys go to East Gate. Kendo and Mikumo go to the West Gate. Fat Gum quickly separates them into different groups, dividing them straight away. Work with the police to help identify the object. It could be anything from a shopping bag to even a post office box. And be careful. Once the briefing was done, all 3 of them were running their lives out, trying to identify the bombs that were lurking deep in the market. The civilians who gathered were looking in confusion at why the police and the heroes were all running around in panic. Amongst the crowd, Schofield Sensei, who was in the area, got the gist of the situation before he silently walked away and spotted Scar Izuku, who was on his right by several people, as he also paid attention to the situation at hand while typing on his phone, and he quietly retreated before smirking. Well, let's see if they can overcome this obstacle. Kendo was running along with Mikumo and several police officers behind them as they were making their way towards the West Gate. But once they arrived there, they were trying to identify what this mysterious object could be. Split up, look for any object that's left on purpose or something familiar. Mikumo quickly ordered the group of police to spread out and find their missing bomb. What are we looking for? Kendo asked. Shopping bags, trash can, potted plant, restaurant mascot statue, parked car, any good place to hide a bomb left unnoticed by naked eyes. Mikumo helps out to explain, knowing that they need to think outside the box. They began to search through every place they could think of, turning over every stone and box, rummaging through the trash can, and opening all the post office boxes, but they hadn't found anything. They grew quite desperate, seeing that they were running out of time to search through every place in the area. F it, we're running out of time. Kendo looked at her watch, showing that they only had about 10 minutes left. Come on, where is it? Mikumo grows desperate since they are running quite low now in places to look. We found one of the bombs. It's located under the vending machine. Tamaki informed them from their communicator. There's one hiding on the back of the counter from the ramen store. We're working to disarm it. Kirishima also replied. They found their bomb, damn it. Mikumo slams his fist over the wall in frustration, seeing that they were the only ones who didn't find their own bomb. Wait, hold on. They were all hiding in some complicated place. Not your average hiding spot. Kendo realized after hearing where they find their own bombs. Kendo glances at her surroundings, trying to identify where those bombs could be. There's a food street vendor, a vending machine, a lamppost, a floating lantern, parked cars, small food stand. Then her eyes averted to a specific place. If she remembers correctly, there's supposed to be one under the road. She quickly runs off and makes her way towards the intersection of the road and enlarges her hand before she tries to lift the manhole in the middle, which gains a lot of attention from the other civilians. What are you doing? Mikumo asked, wondering what she was doing. Help me lift this thing, Kendo replied, and Mikumo complied before he picked up the manhole and rolled it over, and found the third bomb was sticking right in the opposite side of the manhole cover, and a powerful stench hit her nose. I knew it. It's a gas tunnel from under us. Kendo covers her nose at the powerful smell that hits her nostrils. If that bomb explodes, then this whole block is going to go up in flames, Mikumo commented, looking in the area filled with many food stalls that's connected to the main gas pipe. If that happens, then everything in the area will be gone by night. We'll take it from here. The bomb disposal officer informed and took the manhole cover off their hand and began working to disarm it. This is Kendo. We found the third bomb and are working to disarm it, Kendo informed through the communicator. Soon, the bombs were all managed to be disposed of and disarmed. All three of the bombs were disarmed just in time before the bomber also able to detonate the bomb. But they didn't find the mysterious bomber amongst the crowd, thinking that he might have fled away. The rest of them finally managed to get a breath after the tense situation just now and looked all relaxed after the bomb situation. All they needed was to give their testimony to the police, and Fat Gum had given them the green light if they wanted to go back to the dorm. The crowd that gathered in the market also began to disperse and leave right away for the north gate, since the other gate is still under police investigation. Man, can't believe that's over. Tamaki exhaled after all that tiring scenario. I'd say, I don't know about you all, but I wanted to get back and get some rest in my bed. Mikumo yawned, stretching his arms to the side. You and me both, Kirishima quipped, yawning in exhaustion as well. Kendo and Momo huddle in a group, discussing the message that's on hand that's being delivered by Izuku. Guess he saw that the bomber was planning to detonate the area, and he sent a warning to her to escape from the place. Guess what he said turns out to be true, huh? Momo commented on the message on her coffee cup. Yeah, but the question is, why didn't he send that message to us directly? Kendo asked, wondering why he didn't just reveal himself to them and warn them directly. Maybe he's being watched. Momo speculates. Maybe he can't reveal himself while being targeted like this. That someone is targeting him. Kendo then thought for a moment on Momo's theory, and it had a point. If Izuku is indeed being targeted by All Might and the group of people behind him, then it makes perfect sense. He's trying to keep himself hidden for a moment while looking at the situation, and by coincidence that he was here when an incident happened with the robbery from the bank and the bombing this time, and he tried to ward her, hoping that she could do something. But then it hit her, if this incident is being broadcast on the media, then the people who targeted him might try to use this opportunity to finish him off. Kendo then spotted something that looked like a shine from the window across the street from about at 15th floor. It was night, but she could spot the shine quite well, and a sudden realization hit her. Could it be that they learned that he's still alive and plan to finish him off? Kendo thought in fear, knowing the worst-case scenario hits her. She then made a run for it toward the exit gate and tried to stop him from leaving, fearful that his life was at stake and he could get shot. At the building near the north exit of the Esaha Market, Mr. Sagaya is sitting in the back of his car, parked while watching over the situation at hand. He heard from one of his agents that a boy who looks just like Izuku Midoriya is entering the market, and he hasn't left the area. And he wanted to be present at the scene to see this mysterious phantom himself before he decides whether it's a fake or the real deal. Sir, I'm in the position, from his earpiece. Lady Nagant spoke while hiding on one of the building's floors, aiming her rifle towards the exit area. Keep your scope open and don't take your eyes out. Mr. Sagaya spoke while keeping his eye on the exit from his car. I'll decide whether this person is the real one or not. Roger, sir, Lady Nagant informed. Still, it's a scary revelation to be finding out that this kid remains alive up to this day. He's like a cockroach. Mr. Sagaya spats, cursing just how resilient this kid is, even until death. I want to reconfirm, just in case. What are the target's characteristics? Mr. Sagaya asked, confirming if she had the right target for today. Boy around 5 feet 5 inches tall, wears a black knit cap, all dressed in black, had green hair under the cap. That's it, right? She answered in confidence. Correct. Finish him off in one shot only. Mr. Sagaya ordered and saw that the group of people had left the market after hearing the news that the incident had finally over. The group from the market had finally dispersed and took their leave in a crowded manner through the single gate after hearing the incident had finally ended, and all they wanted was just to take their leave and visit their home. Mr. Sagaya looked from the side and saw that Izuku was walking out from the gate, followed by several people behind him, and Uria also followed, trying to squeeze in, making it to the exit in a hurry. I found him. He's on the left side of the front exit. Matches the description. Lady Nagant informed, looking through her scope rifle. Give me the confirmation, sir. Mr. Sagaya spotted the scarred boy exiting through the gate while eyeing him carefully from behind the car window glass. He takes a good look at him, eyeing him carefully to see if this person is a real human being or just a ghost of his imagination. At the exit gate, Kendo came rushing in, trying to make her way out of the crowd. Kendo rushes after Izuku to stop him from being killed. She spotted him amongst the crowd and shouted over to gain his attention. Izuku, don't leave. Kendo shouts, but her voice is muffled by the crowded chatter of the civilians blocking her warning. They were going to kill you. Please stop. Izuku, don't. Kendo is trying to push past the crowd, but is prevented from reaching him by Schofield-sensei, who knocks her over by accident. Kendo, what are you doing here? Schofield-sensei asked out of concern, wondering why she was here. I was an intern here, she answered. Her tone seemed to falter. Sorry, let me help you. He offered her a hand, and she took it, pulling herself from the ground. You seem to be in a hurry, so I leave you to it. Oh, right. She then remembers that before she heads to the exit gate, it's cramped because of the crowd. Outside, Lady Nagant waited patiently for her superior to give the confirmation whether to shoot or not. Her finger itches on whether to fire the rifle towards him or not. Truth be told, when she heard that Izuku Midoriya was alive, she thought that they were joking with her, that they were messing around with her, but when she watched the footage and saw his image, she looked in surprise, remembering that she had shot him point blank. So she too wanted to know if this kid is just a fool playing cosplay or is actually a walking corpse. Sir, I need a confirmation. Shoot or not? She asked over from the communicator, but Mr. Sagaya remained silent. Sir. She continued to ask, begging for an answer while looking at him from the scope, before Izuku looked up towards where Lady Nagant is snipping him and smirks, giving an evil-looking eye and challenging her to pull the trigger. What? She was shocked, moving her eyes away from the scope at his intimidation attempt. Lady Nagant reeled in shock, seeing that not only had he spotted her from afar, with nothing on to help him, this is the first time someone had ever spotted her while she was on the job, which shows, just as the report said, that Izuku Midoriya is a dangerous individual. Sir, he spotted me. Lady Nagant quickly composed herself and saw that he was gone amongst the rushing crowd. A lost visual. Mr. Sagaya looked through the window, trying to spot Izuku, but just like her, he also lost sight of him, and he managed to get away from the crowd and from their crosshair. He hears his phone in his jacket pocket begin to ring, and he recognizes the number and picks it up. Yes, Madam President? He answered. Cease your operation. This is a direct order. Madam President ordered, giving a short but clear instruction to Mr. Sagaya. But Madam President, that's an order. Right away, he answered before she hung up the call. We're leaving. Mr. Sagaya informed her and instructed his driver to take their leave as well. Guess he's nothing but a phantom after. A phantom that's posed a threat to us all. After the crowd had dispersed and the matter had finished, Fat Gum and the rest decided that they were heading back to UA for a good night's rest. Kendo, who decided to go after Izuku to warn him of the imminent danger, also came up empty, saying that she lost Izuku in the crowd. Whilst walking toward the exit, they spotted Schofield-sensei waiting near the gate at the bus station, and Mikumo was the first one to address him. "Sensei, is it you?" Mikumo spotted him at the crossroad. He turned and saw his students all walking towards him. "Oh, so you're here as well." Schofield-sensei addressed them. "Why are you here?" Momo asked, wondering why he was here and if he also got caught in the incident like them. "I had a meeting this morning in Shinjuku Bank, and I came up here for some personal business, and the next thing I knew, the bombing incident happened, and I got caught in the middle of it." He laughed it off, thinking what a day he had. "Shinjuku Bank? Isn't that quite far from where you stay at UA?" Kirishima asked, wondering why he would open up a bank account at such faraway places. "No, I came to the bank for some other business." Schofield-sensei answered. "Other business?" Kendo pried on. "There was a robbery that happened there, remember? And I remember that Kendo got caught in the incident as well, and I happened to see my old friend in the bank too, in the footage, so I thought that he might be living nearby, and I could find him." He looked up to his right and found his bus was parked at the station, and the door was open for the passenger to enter. "So you met him, Sensei? The person you're looking for?" Momo asked. "No, but I did see him in the market tonight, but it seems that I was mistaken." Schofield-sensei took his step to the bus and took his leave. "Since I know that person very well. But that person likes to disappear sometimes. He's like a phantom if you ask me. It's only been yesterday since the incident in the Esoham market with the bomb, and Kendo, along with everyone, gathered once more in a room to discuss what they have discovered about the incident. From where Kendo and Momo spotted Izuku, and he's alive, roaming around the street and patrolling the area. Of course, when they heard it, it sounded like both Kendo and Momo were hallucinating, trying to convince themselves that they miss him. But when Izumi also spoke up, saying that she also saw him while she was patrolling in the city during her internship, Hatsum is the only one who doesn't seem to be convinced. "Are you sure about this?" Hatsum asked for a second time for tonight, needed for the confirmation coming out of their mouth to make sure that she didn't mishear. "I am." "Izuku, he's alive," Momo confirmed, nodding at Hatsum's question. Hatsum looked around to either Izumi or Kendo, but both of them were convinced by what they were seeing. No one could talk, not even Hatsum, who had just received this earth-shocking news that somehow her friend and classmate was alive all this time. "This can't be." Hatsum suddenly explodes at them at their words. "There's no way that Izuku is alive. Right, Kendo?" She looked over to Kendo, hoping for some support from her. "I don't want to believe it either, but I saw him both times now, and he seems to be always there when we get ourselves in a jam situation. And he left me with this." She handed Hatsum the cup of coffee cup with the message on it. Hatsum took it and read the message on it. It says, "Run, get away from here," from a message itself. And after Kendo had explained what happened, it's easy to think that someone had warned her, but what scares her is that the message is written in the same handwriting as Izuku's notebook. "It's the perfect match," Hatsum muttered under her breath, looking at the message, seeing that it's the same. "It's the exact match. You can't exactly fake a handwriting style." Kendo clarified. "No, but think for a moment. We're living in a world where quirks exist. Something like this should be possible, you know?" "Yeah, but I know what I saw. It's really him. I too saw him at the station, and just like how I described it, it's just like the one that Momo and Kendo described. There's no mistake. That's Izuku for sure." Hatsum, however, isn't that easy to convince when the news broke over Izuku's death, since he's the one who first convinced and thought that it's up to her to help carry out his will for payback. But now here he was coming over to her friend, showing that he's alive and playing from the side. "No, I'm not convinced about all of this. Hold on." Hatsum pulled out her phone and dialed the number on it. "Who are you calling?" Izumi asked. "Kinji, if there's anyone who knows if Izuku is alive or not, it would be them." Hatsum put her phone to the side of her head, waiting to connect before she heard a voice coming from the other end. "Hello, who is this?" Kinji asked over the phone, while speaking quite loudly. "Kinji, hi, it's me, Hatsum. Listen, I need to talk to you about something." "What?" "Sorry, I was playing games on my computer, so it's kind of loud here." "You were saying?" And true to his words, she could hear a loud firing sound coming from the phone, like they were playing a shooting game over there. Yeah, I was just wondering if you had heard anything about Izuku around, you know? News, what news? Kenji asked. Oi, watch out for Stillwater over there. He's hiding under that rock over there. Shoot it, damn it. It's actually more about Izuku himself. HM. Hey. Watch out for the enemy on the roof. Take Colombard along and provide cover for me. It's kind of serious here. Hold on, give some fire cover. Longhorn, go to the back and fire off the window. Kenji, I really need to talk to you. Kenji, hey, where's Liquor? Kenji, Hatsum, who can't take it anymore, shouted over the phone, surprising him at the end of the call, as she could hear the collective groaning sound coming from the other end of the phone. Hatsum, I'm serious here. Have you been in contact with Izuku recently? Upon hearing Hatsum's question, Kenji held a silent over the phone, trying to process Hatsum's words just now, thinking that he might have misheard. Are you drunk? Izuku is already gone. What are you talking about? Saying that he contacted me. Soon, Hatsum began to explain what's been happening all this time, about their encounter with Izuku on the street, the case of the bank robbery, the bombing at the market area of their patrol, the messages in the coffee cup that Kendo received, and the attempted assassination that they found out about on the market. It took about 30 minutes to explain everything, and Kenji seems to be at a loss for words over what they had to know now. Finally, once she was done explaining things to him, Kenji began to speak up after listening to her words. Are you high? Huh? They collectively said upon hearing that statement coming out of his mouth. You really expect me to believe that Izuku is somehow alive and wandering around the city, while having lost his memory in the past couple of months? Kenji spoke up over the phone. Look, I know that this is too much to process, but I'm telling you that's impossible. Kenji quickly shuts down their theory. If Izuku is indeed alive, then why would he try to put himself in danger for going out like that? That's what I was trying to tell you. He must have got amnesia because of the burn marks on his head. That's why he's just wandering aimlessly in the city. Kendo speaks up. And what about the accident? If he's really caught in a blast and managed to escape, then why hasn't there been a report coming from a hospital or a local clinic? Well, he must have been hiding and healed himself, Kendo replied, without any proper medical items or resources. Kenji questioned, have you never considered that this whole thing is just a giant trap for all of you, for all of us? I did, Momo replied, but even now she's starting to think Izuku might be alive all this time. Look, you need to start logically here. They have no reason to lie about his death in the first place. It's more beneficial for them to shout it out loud instead of hiding it. Then this Izuku we find. It's more likely an imposter. The question is, who is the one that orchestrated all of this? Now, have you guys found anything or anyone suspicious around you? Something that's out of the ordinary? All of them began to rack their brains looking for someone or something off, and then all four of them came up with an answer of their own. Then Hatsum decided to speak up first to address the group. Well, now that you mention it, I caught Uria snooping around my drawer, and I kept Izuku's notebook in there. Uria? That new minty of yours? Momo confirmed. Yeah, I caught him reading Izuku's old notebook, but I could have sworn that I locked it properly. You sure? Kendo asked, confirming if she really did lock the drawer. Yeah, I was kind of tough on him before, but now that I think about it, he acts suspicious these days. A lot of asking questions, and when I ask around, he didn't want to disclose it, and he's taking a few private projects on his own. Come to think of it, I met with Uria before the bank robbery incident. I saw him carrying many cables and plenty of electrical boards. This time, it was Izumi who mentioned her meeting with a new student while on patrol. Huh, that's weird. We didn't get the parts from him. Are you sure? Hatsum confirmed her story since she didn't get any new parts around that time. Yes, I crashed into him before, and all the parts were scattered on the floor, and we helped pick them up, Izumi said. It was Momo's turn to speak up. Mikomo is also the same. He's been trying to get close to me, and he's behaving quite strangely. Strange how? Kendo then helps to explain. Well, it started back when the provisional exam when we met by accident, and ever since then he's been asking for advice to enter the hero course as part of his agreement with Principal Nizu. You think he's asking for advice just to get close to both of you? Kenji asked, since it's kind of obvious for a boy to be engaging in a conversation just to get close to someone he might like. I'm saying that it's weird since he's quite smart on his own. Other than his attitude, he's got the smarts to enter with ease. So it's kind of weird for him to be trying to get close to us. Kendo said in wonder. And Schofield-sensei also had something on the bombing incident. Remember, when we met with him back then, he said something weird, like he's hiding something. Momo pointed out remembering of their encounter with a new teacher on the bomb incident, which is kind of weird for him to be there. He's also made a mockery of Katsumi on the first day he's here, saying that he didn't believe that they were innocent, like he's harboring a deep hatred towards them. Hatsum said, "Truth be told, when you guys told me about this, it's kind of hard to know who's who. What are you talking about? Look, I'm not saying that you shouldn't trust them, but I think it's best that you keep your distance for the time being. You're saying that you're suspecting them? I'm saying that all of these incidents you guys are having, all of them are at least connected with 2 out of 3 of them." Now that he mentioned it, it was true. During the bank robbery incident, Schofield-sensei said that he was investigating a friend whom he spotted in the bank from the footage. And Uria said that he's just got his way back from Shibuya, saying that he's running an errand for Powerloader Sensei. On the SL market, Schofield-sensei says that he's in the area during the incident, saying that he's looking for a friend there. Mikumo, who's taking an internship there, wasn't on his game during the incident and didn't have his head in the game even during the bomb incident. Look, we can tell that it's no coincidence that someone is targeting Izuku back at the market, but if that's true, then either that's Izuku who's being targeted, or they set a huge stage just for us to show what we got. So what now? Have you guys cracked over what Izuku's message is on that notebook of his? I don't know, we caught a break that the evidence that Izuku is looking for is actually his father's body. I'm sorry, what? Look, we found out that All Might had secretly been responsible for the death of his father during the incident, and he buried his body somewhere in Japan. Buried body? Kenji confirmed before he got something. Wait, holy cow. I think I know where. What? Back then, Izuku had me run an errand for a purchase that was made by the name Tashinori Yagi around 20 years date back, and I found a purchase for a lie and a makeover for a garden that needed to be done in one day, saying that it was urgent. Lie. Momo repeated the word, trying to remember something from the book she used to read, and came to a horrified answer. No way. Momo muttered in shock. Kenji seems to pick up her words and follow her conclusion. I think now I know what the lie is all for. He's been buried in the back of his own house all this time. Not just Momo, but those in the room who overheard the conversation couldn't believe what they were hearing. Izuku's father, Hisashi Midoriya, has been buried in the back of his own house all this time. It's like some fact that you would hear from a serial killer story, where they tried to bury the body somewhere where they could keep a close eye on. Oh my god, Kendo whispered in shock. Izumi had to close her mouth and stop herself from vomiting, knowing just how messed up his father truly is now. Listen, if we're going to do this, then we have to do this right. We can't confront the man literally and grab a shovel ourselves and dig the place at night. If these people even knew that we learned where the place is, then they could silence us just like how they did with Izuku. Kenji ordered from the phone and quickly took control of the situation. Yaoyorozu, you still have that lawyer who freed Izuku on his case before? Yeah, good. Then call him and ask him to make a case over Hisashi Midoriya's death. Ask him to gather evidence and have him arrested. I think you can ask Detective Sakachi to help with this. He seems to be a trustworthy and straight person. Then what about us? Keep continuing with your internship. You need to keep an appearance while your lawyer cracks this case and brings him to trial for what he's committed. Remember, you cannot confront any of them about what we know. We're going to work from our end and give your lawyer any information we can scrape up along with Hatsum. It was hard for them, especially Izumi, and after what they just learned, it's going to be even harder for them to act like it's nothing. But Kenji is right. They only have one shot here, and they need to make it count. 2 days after the talk with Kenji, and they continued with the internship, as usual, while she had her mind on both her father and the girl she failed to save back then. And just in time, Izumi suddenly got a call from Night Eye, telling her to come to the location that he had sent her. And as she was just about to leave, she was met by Kirishima, Uraraka, and Tsuyu at the front of the gate. Well, if it isn't the traitor of the year. Kirishima spats at her. Besides him, Uraraka and Tsuyu also throw side eyes as she comes to them. What are you doing here? Izumi asked straight away, wondering why they were here at the same time as her coming down. None of your business, but it's actually important. Uraraka mocked. What? You got another kid that you need to harass and bully. Izumi spats. Hey, watch it. Kirishima came and shoved her to the back. Why don't you just go and do your business elsewhere? We got some hero work to do. Funny, I was actually going to do some myself. Unlike you fakes, Izumi replied. Then all of them walked towards the train station, and they all went to the same lane. Great, you guys are going to this lane as well? Izumi asked. Yeah, must be a coincidence, Uraraka said bitterly. Then all of them walked towards the same train and the same exit station, and the same road, much to their annoyance. And at the end of their destination, they met with the big three in front of the building. They were all shocked as they went toward the exact location, but not as surprised as they saw the room filled with many pro heroes and police officers. What is going on here? Izumi looked in surprise, seeing the room filled with many pro heroes gathered in one spot. Whoa, it's filled with many pro heroes here. Kirishima looked in amazement. Izumi looked around the room as she saw many pro heroes gathered in the room. She saw Fat Gum, Ryukyu, Rocklock, Bubble Girl, Aizawa Sensei, and even Momo and Kendo, who waved their hand, wondering why they too came to this meeting. Why have you two come here? Izumi came to address them right away, wondering why. We honestly don't know. Fat Gum called us this morning, telling us to come to this place. Momo replied. Kendo then gave a signal with her eyes and averted to her right, and Izumi followed. She then saw Mikumo, who was having a conversation with Rocklock, asking for some advice, seeing that he also came to this meeting. Naitai came from a door where Izumi entered as he walked to the conference room. He stood at the end of the table as the others came to their seats. Thank you for coming. I've called this meeting to share the information that I've gathered about a certain small organization called 8 Percept of Death, and immediately everyone had their ears listening to it. In the last 2 weeks, we at the Night Eye office have been conducting an investigation about the 8th Percept of Death. Bubble Girl explained to everyone. We just received intel from one of my interns that Chisaki, who is also known as Overhaul, has a child. Then he clicks the monitor and it shows a picture of a girl with white hair, red eyes, and a single horn on her forehead. Her name is Eri, and after pulling some records about Chisaki, it shows that she's indeed his daughter. He said Kai Chisaki, who is also known as Overhaul, had a daughter. Then the picture shows a picture of Overhaul wearing his plague mask. Then Fat Gum stood from where he was sitting and explained that they had a run-in with some thugs the previous night. One of them shot a bullet that was somehow able to stop Tamaki's quirk. I've heard about this bullet that you told, and that bullet, along with this case, had a connection, Naitai said. What do you mean? Ryukyu asked. Take a look at the picture of his daughter. Have you found anything unusual? Naitai clicks the monitor, showing her image from the nearest CCTV of where Izumi and Mirio found her while she was holding tightly to Izumi. Well, other than being malnourished, I didn't find anything unusual. Rocklock looked at the image. The bandage, isn't that kind of weird for a girl to be wearing that many bandages, especially at her age? Aizawa noticed. Correct. We recently learned that Overhaul's quirk is just the same as his name. It allows him to disassemble and then reassemble matter with their bare hands. And we had a theory that he might use her own child to produce the bullets. And suddenly everyone looked in shocked and horrified. How did you make that kind of assumption? Facum looked at him with shock. The bullet that you sent to the police for analysis. We found a specific component on it. Turns out it has human DNA on it, Naitai said, and quickly horror crept all over Mirio and Izumi's faces as they remembered that they were the ones who handed her back to him. A human DNA? Ryukyu looked at the bespectacled man as she couldn't believe what she heard. Based on the cell of the DNA, it seems it's coming from a preschool, Naitai informed. None of them could believe what they were hearing. To think that one of the criminal organizations in Japan is using an underage kid to extract vital fluid from it and using it to create bullets. It's despicable. They have heard some sick things before in their life, but this takes a different level. So had these two secured the kid back then all of this would have been over, right? Rocklock commented. Nice hero work, Izumi. Kirishima sneered. I'll take full responsibility for what happened. I wasn't unaware of what happened, and they were trying to rescue the girl. Naitai came to defend them both. It's nice and all, but how do we determine the location of their home base? For all we know, Overhaul might have kept the girl in their stronghold, and we won't get another chance like that. Which is why I have ordered a full-scale investigation into anything related to the girl's whereabouts. Night Eye gets up from the seat, addressing the situation, locating the girl, and securing a rescue. Our goal is to resolve this as quickly and effectively as possible. Once we found the location, we'll march head-on with the full force of our group. After the meeting is over, most of the heroes have already gone back to continue with their patrol. The student group is sitting in the waiting room while thinking about the mission. Izumi and Mirio explain to the others what occurred between them and Overhaul. The rest of them looked at them both with a sympathetic look while trying to comfort them, saying that it wasn't their fault. However, Izumi and Mirio are still brooding about being unable to save Eri when she was right in their hands. Kirishima wanted to say a few words just to throw a jab of insult at Izumi, but since Mirio happened to be there, he decided to hold off the insult as he didn't want to embarrass his senior. Uraraka and Nizu seemed to pick up his intent and withhold their words, too. After hearing Aizawa-sensei give them a pep talk and motivating them to move forward with the mission, Izumi and Mirio lit up, brimming back with hope, waiting for their information to bear fruit so that they could help with the mission and rescue her. They silently promised themselves that they would rescue her. After exiting the building, the rest of the first year waited outside for their classmates, while the rest of the Big Three had to bid their farewell first. After they took their leave, Kirishima stopped to have a quick chat with Izumi about her blunder. "So it's your fault that you didn't rescue her when you had the chance?" Kirishima sneered. "Kirishima," Momo scolded him. "I mean, what kind of hero are you when you can't even save a single girl in need? Pathetic." "Kirishima, now that I take a look, you guys are just a bunch of pathetic people. The traitor, the fallen rich girl, and then the orphan." I meant but Kirishima's words got held up as Kendo suddenly enlarged her hand and grabbed hold of Kirishima's head, stopping her words. "Take it back." Kendo's eyes looked enraged as she heard his words mocking her late parents right in front of him, as if it was just a joke. Out of anger, she put pressure on her grip with the full intent of crushing his head. "Kendo, you beach," Kirishima cursed while feeling pain coursing through his head from being crushed. She kept putting pressure on it before she saw the look that people around her gave her, spotting the scene and ready to take out their phone to record it. Seeing that they weren't alone, Kendo immediately released her grip, and Kirishima groaned in pain while holding his head. "Get out. I'm not asking for a second time." Kendo threatens the red-haired boy as he takes his leave along with Uraraka and Nizu, who ran off before they made scene. Izumi and Momo watched the scene that had just happened and couldn't believe that Kendo, of all people, decided to use violence to settle the matter. After it happened, they heard a clapping sound from behind and saw Mikumo clapping his hands in amazement. "Nice job, Kendo." "Very good." Mikumo clapped his hands. "I would have gone differently, but your approach is pretty good if I say so." "Mikumo, I thought you were already heading back." Izumi looked at him, remembering that he had gone out first once the meeting was over. Then I forgot something in the meeting room. And surprise, surprise, I saw you turn that red-haired dog into your beach when I came down." Mikumo smirks in satisfaction. "Then why didn't you intervene back there?" Izumi asked. "And miss out on the fun?" He smirks. "Anyway, I'd better head back to the dorm. We've got a long day ahead of us, and I need to focus on the upcoming raid." He then excused himself and took his leave. Kendo, along with Izumi, watched him from behind as he took his leave, and they also went in a different direction, hoping that they wouldn't encounter anyone else for today. On the opposite direction, Kirishima, along with Uraraka and Nizu, came to meet up with Kaminari, Mina, and Katsumi at a local cafe near UA grounds. They decided to meet before and discuss their internship. Kirishima, along with Mina and Kaminari, sits in one row while Uraraka, Nizu, and Katsumi sit in the opposite direction, all had their drinks and snacks in front of them. They all chatted and discussed their internship when Uraraka mentioned their recent encounter with Kendo, who tried to crush Kirishima's head. Damn it, that Kendo, who knew that she had that much power in her grip like that. Kirishima groaned, grabbing hold of his head, still in pain. "Well, you kinda insulted her parents, to be honest." Tsuyu bluntly spoke. "Shut up. Kirishima countered. Anyway, it seems that Izumi and the two of them kept getting closer to anyway. Yeah, Mr. Yagi even said that Izumi went and ran away from the house. I bet it's because of those two. Katsumi talked, mentioning Kendo's influence on them. But at least we can relax now. With Deku out of the picture, all we have to do is just dismiss those two, and we can rest our way for good. Urarika stretched her arms in a relaxed position. Yeah, without Deku, they can't do anything on their own. Katsumi spoke with gladness, knowing that their only threat is no more. But still, can't believe that Kendo had a crush on that quirkless worm, Kirishima said. I know. Truth be told, she could have gotten a better boyfriend besides him. Kaminari scowled, wondering how a loser such as Deku managed to bag someone as hot as Kendo. Like yourself? Mina tilts her head and stares at the yellow-haired kid. I mean, it's kind of obvious that you used to have a crush on her. Shut up. Kaminari blushed. Besides, she's pretty hot if you ask me. I'm just saying that she could do a hell lot better than Deku. First, his career. Now you're trying to steal his girl too? Kirishima snickered. Man, you really want a piece of that, didn't you? Why not? I mean, Kendo is kind of hot if you ask me. Plus, she's got a great body. Kaminari laughed perversely, imagining it. Her hair, her face, her body, he can't wait for it to be his. Mr. Sagaya had his head in his hands, face lowered onto his desk. He groaned in exhaustion and frustration, thinking about the events of the day. He was just having a one-on-one meeting with Madam President, discussing the workload and documents that were necessary to put Katsuki Bakugu out of prison and work their way to help create a new image for the symbol of peace. It would be ideal had All Might's daughter still been on their side, and they could have helped her reform herself to become the new symbol, but she decided to pull a stunt and rebelled against their cause. They just put their plan in motion by targeting one of their parents to crush their spirits, and he instructed All Might to use their old classmate to continue harassing them at school and even during the internship, trying to make them make a blunder and doubt themselves, which can have failed them during their internship. And then there's the sighting of Izuku, Midoriya, who is somehow wandering around like a hermit in the city. It's not possible, because he himself saw where the bullet had shot him in the head from the live footage that he gave to All Might back then. So is there a possibility that he might be alive and survive the gunshot? He hears the phone begin to ring, and he recognizes the number. Taking a deep breath to anchor himself, Mr. Sagaya grabs the phone and holds it to his ear. Hello, Madam President, Mr. Sagaya addresses. I think I know why you are calling. I would like an update on the situation with our future symbol situation. The firm, female voice rings out, confirming Mr. Sagaya's suspicions. Things have gotten complicated. Mr. Sagaya explains, we tried working from our end, and it's going to take a while before we can introduce our new symbol to the world. We have control of the news media, politics, law enforcement, and even the government, all working to help create an image for our new symbol to take place. Excellent, the president replied. And what about our pest situation? We had put a work on it. Mr. Sagaya admitted they won't be a problem after this. Unfortunately, things aren't as easy as before. The president snapped. We just received a report from our friends in the law that someone named Mr. Desmond had filed a case for Hisashi Midoriya's disappearance. It's the same lawyer who represented Izuku Midoriya during his trial before. Disappearance? Madam President, get rid of the body as quickly as you can. If that body were to be found on its burial site, then we're going to have a big problem on our hands. Understood. I'll work on it right away. Excellent, Madam President states. See to it that everything goes to plan from now on. As you wish, Mr. Sagaya states, before hanging up the phone. He looked down at his hands, clenched his fist, and dialed a different number on his phone. He waited to ring before he heard someone pick up the call. Yes, Mr. Sagaya? Give me every information you can find on every single one of these people. Kazumi Urita, Mikomo Akitani, and Kevin Schofield. I want details first thing in the morning. Yes, sir. Later that night, Izumi, Kendo, and Momo were all woken up by phone calls from their respective pros. Apparently, Night Eye had managed to confirm the location of the 8 Percept of Death's hideout, and everyone was ordered to get ready immediately. The operation was going to take place early in the morning, and they needed all hands on deck as soon as possible. The group of students all met up in the common area to make sure that everyone was present. You guys got the message, right? Izumi asked. Yup. Yeah, we did. The students looked to one another, and there was a notable tension in the air between them. This entire operation was going to be a madhouse, which they were aware of. But there was a little girl who needed to be saved, and they needed to bring their game if they were going to be successful. All right, guys, let's make sure we give this our all. Kendo gave them a determined look, ready to go out and give it everything she had. So, this was the end of part 10 of this series. Stay tuned for next part of this series, and if you like this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Until next time.